it's fabulous that you all could come out.
Thank you so much, Alderman Parker. I think Alderman Parker touched on that really important point of power, because only workers have this power, right? Companies, rich multi-billion-dollar companies have power over elected officials, over our cities, over our communities. But only workers have this sort of power against the company. And when John Deere tries to pull legal tricks to deprive them of this power, it's up to the community to stand up and fight back. When workers' rights are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When workers' rights are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
That's right. Thank you so much, Amber, for leading that chant. And I want to introduce Amber Bardolo from Quad Cities Interfaith. She's going to give us a few words as well.
Okay, I got another chant for you, okay? It goes, who's got the power? We got the power. What kind of power? Union power, okay? Who's got the power?
We got the power.
What kind of power?
Union power.
Who's got the power?
We got the power.
What kind of power?
Union power.
Who's got the power?
We got the power.
What kind of power?
Union
All
power.
right. So, I'm not going to talk long. I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about, why I think we're all out here today. And for me, I'm out here to support the workers and their rights standing out on the picket line. I'm a firm believer that all of us should have a say in the decisions that are made about our lives. And oftentimes those people in power don't want us to have a say in the decisions that affect us. So, because they want to keep the power and they want to make decisions that benefit them. And when our voices are heard, we can make decisions that benefit us and that benefit all of us in our community. So I'm just here in solidarity with those folks who are fighting out there, standing in the cold, to make their voices heard. And I think that that is something that we all need to do. Standing there, fighting for a living wage and fighting for a fair wage, there's so much honor in that. And I think that for us to stand here in solidarity and support of them is what we need to be doing as a community. Because when one of us benefits, we all benefit. So I'm glad you guys came out, and I'm glad we're all supporting our brothers and sisters in the union and on the picket line, because we all deserve to have our voices heard when decisions are being made that affect our lives. Our salary, our pension, we go to work every day. That really affects our lives, and their voices need to be heard. So we're here to support them and amplify that. So let's do our chant one more time. You guys ready? Who's got the power?
We got the power.
What kind of power?
Union power.
All right.
Thank you so much, Amber. I was thinking a little bit about that $20 an hour that a lot of John Deere workers make. And when John Deere tries to squeeze workers, right, why do they try to squeeze it? They try to squeeze it so they can squeeze more profit out of those workers. When they try to sell these hundreds of thousands of dollars in machines to farmers, they're trying to squeeze farmers for profit too. They're squeezing farmers, they're squeezing workers, and we've had it. We've had it. And I think today we have a few community members who are union members, who are family members that want to speak out about how that affects them personally. First, we have Randy Donnelly, who's a retired member of AFGE 2119, and he's going to have a few words about his perspective as a former union member and a retiree.
Thanks, Colin. We're out here today to support our fellow union members at UAW. I think it's pretty bad when our city officials put these injunctions on supporting the corporations out there. It's a American right to go out and strike. Years ago, our grandfathers, grandmothers, and great-grandparents, they went out and they fought and they died for this right to go out, form a union, and support workers out there. We must never forget that you don't need to be a union member to gain from what they're working for and what they're gaining for them. The community as a whole, we are not all union members. I'd like to all of them to be, but they're not. But it does support everybody out in the community when unions can get good contract and good pay. It floats all boats. That tide raises all boats. We must remember that. So when our union members get pay raises, which they deserve, it raises the community standards everywhere. Quad City Interfaith brings together everybody in the community, regardless of their religion, regardless of their ethnicity, regardless of their pay. It brings us all together. Yeah. As one, we must demand that corporations pay a living wage, a decent living wage, and benefits. Yes. We must go forward. If you live in Davenport, I ask everybody that lives in Davenport to call your city alderman and to call your mayor and to tell them to not back John Deere, to back the workers who are their constituents who sit there and pay the taxes. We need this city to back the workers.
Absolutely.
I further want to express to our UAW members out there that the community and that all labor organizations support their strife to gain a decent and living wage. So let's back our union workers at UAW and John Deere. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Randy. I was thinking a little bit when Randy was talking about how some people are scared of this injunction because it's scary. When a judge issues a legal opinion, that sounds intimidating. They're trying to scare you with these big fancy injunctions. But all it is I don't know how else to describe it, is just plain flat wrong. Like, this injunction is being challenged because it is an abrogation of their right to picket, right? It is an abrogation of their rights as workers. Some people are scared by the words of John Deere about showing up for workers on the picket line because of this legal action. And we're here to say, as a community, John Deere doesn't have the power. You have the power.
That's right.
Who has the power?
We have power.
What kind of power?
Union power.
Thank you, Amber, for introducing that chant to us. Another thought, very quickly, was that Randy mentioned that people fought and died for our rights as workers today. And it makes me think about a CWA member who was actually killed on the picket line not too long ago because they were hit by a scab's car on their way out of the plant. The CWA wears red every Thursday in remembrance of that member's sacrifice. And I hope we keep that in mind, that this is not some struggle hundreds of years ago, back in the past in our history. It is what we're living through right now. There are already situations, dangerous situations on the picket line, where brothers and sisters are risking their well-being. And it's up to the community to show up and support, and it's affecting their family members as well. And with that in mind, I'd like to introduce one of those family members, Nikki Aguilar, who's a spouse and a mother of two who work at PDC Milan. Nikki?
I'm nervous talking in front of people, but John Deere is cheating the workers. They're taking food and everything away from families. They're hardworking families. My two sons and husband have been working 5 10-hour days, 3 Saturdays of anywhere from 4 to 8 hours, every third Saturday. When does my son get time to spend with his son?
That's right.
Deere is take. Yeah. What about the workers? You give us raises, what are we going to do? We're going to spend it in our community, and it's a win-win for everybody. The idea that he keeps making more, 160%, are you kidding me? Kip, that's a joke and a half. Sometimes the workers have to pay into it. It is a crime that the city of Davenport went ahead and let Deere do what they did to Davenport work.
I did something, so fix it.
The idea is that Deere, no problem, instead of spending their money, getting all these injunctions, get back to the table. How many times have they actually sat down? And these guys at International are joking a half. They don't care. We need to show that we care about our community. We need to rally together behind the workers, all union members, period. My husband and son have been going to the picket lines every day since it started. I go there because I show my support. The community in the Quad Cities, we are so very lucky how they have outpoured. We need to let John Deere know we stand firm. You give us a raise. You give retirement. You give the retirement insurance once they retire. Like people have said, people break their bodies to build these machines with John Deere. What does John Deere do? Take, gimme, gimme, gimme. I'm going to keep taking from you.
That's right.
I see it in my family's paychecks. I see what crap they get. And this idea, someone came out there, said they made this kind of money, untrue. I have 3 family members that I can attest to that are working 60-some hours a week. So they are not getting their fair share along with all the rest of these families. Deere needs to quit cheating the workers because that's what they're doing. While everybody of those high-ranking officials are sitting at home in their warm things, the rest of the workers are fighting for what's right. During the pandemic, who was there? UAW workers worked through the whole thing. Every one of those workers stayed there and worked. I luckily got to work from home for a little bit, for a few months. But no, UAWs went out there and what they do? Oh, we'll give you a lunch a week. Really? You make record-breaking sales, but you don't care about the workers, and they're the ones that make you the money. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's give a round of applause for Vicki. Absolutely, that's absolutely amazing. When Vicki was talking about workers breaking their bodies for John Deere, I was out on the picket line till midnight a few days ago with some workers, and we were chatting, we were talking. These workers, they're 20-something years old. They just joined the union. They just joined the company. And what John Deere says is that we aren't going to give you a pension anymore. That's the contract that they want to offer these young folks. And all these other union members, the older folks, who get paid much better than them because of the 2-tier system. Can we get a boo for the 2-tier system? Because of the 2-tier system, you know, these older workers are getting paid more, but they're still out there because they have solidarity with these young folks who are working for John Deere. They have solidarity because they know that come in a few decades, when it comes for them to retire, they need a pension because they don't have the ability to work. Their bodies have been given to John Deere, and John Deere needs to give something back to them.
That's right.
We have some more speakers that are part of the community, and I'd love to introduce Pastor Jay Woolen. Can we give a round of applause for Pastor Jay?
Thank you. I don't have a big speech planned. It's not like Sunday morning. I'm Reverend Jay Wall of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Quad Cities. You know, one of our core principles is justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. And the key there is human relations, not corporate relations. And we care about people and people. We should have compassion for people. And we should help each other in the community. We should be a community that serves each other. And you all know something? I hope I hope there are some Deere executives listening here, because you are just as at risk as these workers at the plant. As soon as you are of no value, or they can figure out a better way or a less expensive way to do your job, you will be out of there. And so So you also have the power to change and to change this company's ethos and ethics so that they treat their employees as human beings and not just as component parts like in a machine. They are people, and they deserve to be treated with compassion and justice, because you will be gone. And the bottom line is, it's funny, I had one of my members come up to me and say, where do you stand on this issue with Deere? I said, well, I always stand with the workers, always. And, because I value people over profits. That's where we are. So let me get that. People over profits. 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 Thank you all. Keep the faith.
Pastor Jay said human with, that little variation how I say human. I thought of a certain senator from Vermont, Bernie Sanders. Great to hear that you're Bernie Sanders supporters. He tweeted out a video about UAW workers on strike. And it goes to show that the whole nation is inspired by what UAW workers are doing right now. The largest strike in the country. Can we get a round of applause for that? We got union power in this house. With that in mind, I'd like to introduce Sarah Meyer from QC Interfaith, who also has a few words. Maybe a few words on the little guy going up against the big guy.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Sarah Meyer, and I'm a community member. I happen to be also involved with Quad City Interfaith, and it is a strong organization that works at leading people to be organized so that they can stand up to the big guy, so that they can stand up and get their rights and not let others, the big guys, walk on them. I think that I've been thinking a lot about generations ago, before there ever were unions, and the way that the workers fought and tried so hard to get fair pay, to get 40-hour weeks, to be able to have vacation, to have lunch breaks. They organized, they pulled together, and they stood together, and they did that not just for themselves, but because they knew that the community was behind them. So that's why I'm here, to let those John Deere workers know that I, as a community member, am standing behind them, beside them if I could, but not being a union member, I can do it my way. Thank you.
Hey, Sarah!
Have another round of applause. Amazing speech. Next up, we have Ron Schwaner, who's running for Davenport Alderman, second ward.
Thank you, guys. I'm here for two reasons. To try and figure out why John Deere wants to bust the union is simple. It's been explained here. Money. But to try and freeze out our union members, I have a son on that picket line. I'm very proud of him. He's come a long way. He's earned his keep over at John Deere, mandatory overtime, but he has to have a future. My granddaughters have to have a future. And if we keep shutting down our people, we're not going to be able to get them to work for Deere. Deere's cutting their own throats, folks. Union members make a difference in this community. Yes, I'm running for second ward, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here as a proud father. I'm here as a proud Davenport person to support this union and hope and pray it doesn't last long, but as long as it takes, I will be here to support, and I know all you will. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We were on the list of folks who are going to speak tonight, but I wanted to thank you all for coming out. I want everyone to give themselves a round of applause for showing up on this cold night when workers in Davenport on the picket line don't have burn barrels, they don't have chairs, they don't have their food. It is outrageous that John Deere is trying to bust this strike in this manner. We say no to legal tricks. We say no to union busting. As our Alderman Dylan Parker mentioned at the start, I want to ask you another question. What's disgusting?
Union busting!
What's disgusting?
Union busting!
What's disgusting?
Union busting!
Absolutely. I've been here for a long time as someone born and raised in Bettendorf, and everyone in the Quad Cities knows someone who works at John Deere. John Deere is just as much of a part of the identity of the Quad Cities as anything else could possibly be, as the bridge, as honestly anything. And when John Deere comes to workers and says, we're going to try to take your pensions from you, we're going to try to instate a third tier, we're not going to give you a decent wage, what does that mean? It means that John Deere doesn't care about our community. John Deere doesn't care about its workers. Its workers build the machines that feed America, but John Deere doesn't want to ensure that they are fed. When I think about what John Deere is doing right now, it's showing that the company isn't the family, it's the union. It's the union, it's our brothers and sisters that we stand with in solidarity. And with that in mind, thank you. I'd like to teach everybody a quick song. And it goes a little something like this. I'm going to read the first verse. And I want you to just say a few words. It's a song called Solidarity Forever. You may have heard it on the picket line. And so the chorus goes, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. Okay, great. I am going to sing a few verses, and I'd love for everyone to join in at the chorus. Are we feeling good about that?
Yeah!
Okay. So, when the union's inspiration through the workers' blood shall run, there can be no power greater anywhere beneath the sun. No what force of worth is weaker than the feeble strength of one, but the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. It is we who plowed the prairies, built the cities where they trade, dug the mines and built the workshops, endless miles of railroad laid. Now we stand outcast and starving midst the wonders we have made, but the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. Thank you, everybody! Absolutely.
So I live in East Moline, and I like to drive by John Deere and the picket lines and just give a honk. So I encourage all of you, drive out there to Davenport, drive by, give them a honk, show them you support them. It really does make a difference. It keeps them going, keeps them strong. So if you can, After this, just go ahead, drive out there and give them a honk and show some support.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for organizing.
Appreciate your support.
Sir, can I talk to you? Yeah.
So I thought your words were really inspiring, and you've obviously been in this fight for many years. Can you kind of talk about what your background is, where you've worked, and what do you think about a judge basically trying to block workers from striking here?
Well, I think that's wrong. First off, I'm a retired machinist from Rock Island Arsenal. Was over there 33 years. The retirement's great. That's what we all work for. And that's what the John Deere employees are trying to get. They're trying to get a better benefit. I'm also a former veteran. I served in Vietnam. And it makes me extremely upset when I see judges fighting against the workers of this country to go out and legally strike. That's what's wrong.
You know, it's interesting to me. I read some of this judge's ruling, and it was a lot of that the workers were intimidating, and the workers, they were blocking entrance and all this. Very little attention on the exploitation of the actual workers.
Right.
It's very pro-corporate, which seems to be the story of America, huh?
Well, what's strange here is it's only happening in Iowa. It's not happening in Illinois. So that just goes to show you that it appears that Iowa, the state of Iowa, is not friendly to union workers. I'd also like to remember, too, is the fact there's an old saying is that God must love the working people so much because he made so many of us. So.
And what do you think about not just John Deere, but there's strikes popping up all over this country? You have workers trying to unionize. You have a lot of workers quitting now. I mean, frankly, organized labor has kind of been in hibernation for 20 years. What does it feel to you to see this explosion of energy?
Well, what's happening is the corporations are ruining this country because what they're doing is they're stacking the deck with politicians who refuse to support the NLRB. And basically what it is, when you have a company that goes in and fights against a union that's trying to organize a company, what they'll do then is they'll file a ULP, an unfair labor practice. That goes before the judges at the NLRB. Well, guess what? Because they don't have enough judges, they don't make a ruling. So, because the politicians in Washington, D.C. stack the deck and don't replace the judges when they should be, I'm telling you, 2016 to 2020, former President Trump never put anybody in NLRB. It's horrible. It's horrible. And because of that, they don't have a majority of people in there, so they don't make any decisions.
And last question. You have this company, John Deere, record profits. The CEO, 160% increase he just got recently. What does it say to you that they are basically offering these workers maybe a couple bucks extra over the next few years while they're rolling around in, Benjamins all over the place?
Well, it's what's kind of strange, You would think that a union would be against capitalism, but we're not. We think capitalism's great, but the problem with capitalism, you got to share. It's the workers going out there and making this work. It's the old adage I used to tell when I would sit in on negotiations. I go and I trade my labor for a wage. You're not giving me nothing. I'm making that wage. I'm out there working for you, performing a service, and I need to be able to participate in that. If you look back, a good company is not because you've got a smart CEO. You got a good company because the employees are out there working for that company and making them good.
What's your name?
Randy Donnelly.
Thanks, Randy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So that's Randy. Let me try to get some other folks here.
I don't know. That's a good question for John Deere.
Can I talk to you?
I don't know either.
We're going to talk to some other people. If you don't know, if you came to this late, a John Deere basically filed for an injunction to limit the amount of workers that could strike here at the Davenport John Deere location. And a judge basically granted the injunction, basically saying only 4 workers at a time can strike at the various gates of the plant. And even worse, told them they cannot have chairs while they're striking, and they cannot use burn barrels, which is how they stay warm. And I can tell you, it's fucking cold in Iowa. So you're a local official here, right?
Yeah, my name is Dylan Parker. I'm the 5th Ward alderperson for the city of Rock Island.
So I just came from Ottumwa. Now I'm here. And the solidarity and kind of this workers' fight, it's really invigorating because honestly, it's been in short supply, I'd say, over the last 20 years. For you, what's it like seeing workers? We'll get to the injunction, but what's it like seeing workers and non-workers that are just supporting them kind of fighting back?
Well, it is a welcome sight. I from a personal level, I know from working on a shop floor what it feels like to feel like your back's against the wall. I mean, you gotta work to get a paycheck to put a roof over your head, but it's not covering the bills, and so you kind of just feel like you don't know what to do. And fortunately, when workers organize, they're able to really grasp onto the power that workers have and demand that the bosses negotiate with us. So it's empowering, it's encouraging, and I hope to do my part to keep the ball rolling.
And you know, John Deere, it seems to me, whatever, obviously they're not benevolent and just like, yes, let's go to the negotiating table and we'll be, in good faith. They're obviously trying to limit the strike and hopefully, in their view, basically block it at some point. What are your thoughts on their basically proposing to a judge to file an injunction? I read some of it claiming the workers striking were intimidating those coming in, blocking entry. It seems to me obviously a ploy just to, obstruct the workers.
Yeah, I mean, fundamentally, that's what it is. Fundamentally, this is union busting, this is strike busting, this is using the state and the law to try to make it as difficult and uncomfortable and unpleasant as possible for those workers to engage in their lawful right to go on strike. But again, this is nothing new. For a century plus, employers have been employing various tactics, whether it be the states or anything else, to make it as impossible as possible for workers to exercise their rights to organize and to collectively bargain with their employer. So yeah, that's exactly what this injunction is. This is just using the state to try to break the strike.
And it's really something because, I mean, I don't know what it is. It feels kind of like 35, 40 right now with wind. It's pretty cold, yet there are still workers out there striking without a burn barrel, without chairs, which was basically the injunction said they could not have those things. So the dedication is pretty inspiring.
Right, and right there you just see through the lines here of what this injunction is all about. If it were actually about trying to make sure that the strikers weren't impeding on Deere's business or whatever, what does having lawn chairs have anything to do with that? Right? What does having a burn barrel have anything to do with whether John Deere's customers can come into the dealer and buy a part? It doesn't have anything to do with that. It's just to make it as uncomfortable as possible for these workers to not stick it out. It's cold out here, and it's only going to get colder. This is October, and let's hope that this can be resolved before November, before December. But once January and February comes rolling around here in the Midwest, in Iowa and Illinois, having a burn barrel would be really nice. And so you can just read through the lines here what this is all about. And it has nothing to do with making sure that the workers aren't doing anything illegal. It has everything to do with just trying to bust this strike.
And let me ask you, because I think from a more, big picture view, the progressive movement, since Bernie dropped out, after the last election, has been kind of splintered, I'd say. You've had people that are still organizing and this and that, and then you've had people that are just angry and pissed off and hopeless and, kind of in that position where this is all for show, nothing's ever going to change. But then you have, I mean, basically starting in Bessemer, Alabama, that Amazon union effort. The Alabama coal miners have been striking for months. Nabisco, Frito-Lay, teacher strikes. Why do you think people are now just kind of like, I don't know if it's like, I can't take it anymore, or like I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it? What's kind of opened Pandora's box for workers to really just come out all over the place and put it on the line?
Yeah, I think you're hitting the nail on the head there. It is, like I said, their backs are against the wall. And at that point, what do you do? But stand up and fight back. It's happening all across the country, but also I think that there's something else happening here where the working class is starting to realize what this is actually about, and it's about power, right? The Bernie campaign was the Bernie campaign. I was a Bernie delegate at the 2016 DNC, but that's politics. That's electoral, and similar to what I was saying this evening when I spoke, electoral power is one thing, but having actual power, those workers that are on the picket line right now in front of Deere, they are exercising actual power. It's not a performance, it's not a show, it's not a rally. It is actually forcing Deere to say, oh, wow, this is hurting, we need to do something here. And that is what people are realizing, and that is what we need to do more of as the working class here in the United States.
And my last question is, to me in D.C., it's all this bullshit back and forth. It's like politics is sport. Manchin's calling, Democrats, we can't have an entitlement society, right? Sinema, whatever she's doing, the Republicans are obviously corrupt. Frankly, the Democrats are corrupt, only a little nicer about it. To me, the only entitlement society we're seeing here is a CEO hoarding money, 160% increase. They just had their, I think third quarter is going to be record profits, and basically selling to the workers like it's some big thing, a couple dollars. What do you think about this messaging coming from, frankly, Republicans in the Democratic Party and then the Republicans about entitlement?
Well, I think it's completely disconnected, right? It's playing off of classic tropes and propaganda, and it's completely disconnected from society, from working people. If you ask anybody working, not pulling in $16 million salary, they do not feel like they are entitled to anything, nor do they feel that they have been given any sort of entitlements. People are struggling, and that is why you're seeing the strike wave. That's why Striketober is a thing, right? Is because if people were just mooching off of the welfare system or whatever, you would not see this amount of labor unrest in the United States. It's because things are not going well, and no entitlement. That's a fantasy. That's a lie. That's propaganda.
How do you see this kind of moving forward? We can't predict, but it seems like the workers are out there to stay. They're not going to give up. At least in Ottumwa, it seems like here too, the community is all in too in support. Even farmers, I've been hearing, have been supporting it. How long do you think this might go on? And could this be a signal to workers elsewhere that aren't happy, have been dejected, exploited for a long time, that they might kind of get the idea to go on strike?
Yeah, unfortunately, I hope that it doesn't go on for very long. The reality is those picketers are facing a very long, challenging winter. Nobody, when they decide to go on strike, looks forward to the decision. It is a decision that they feel like they have to make, right? Again, their back is against the wall. The nuts and bolts of the strike is a matter of how much inventory did Deere have before this went off, and how long can they coast? How well can they keep the manufacturing line going with the salary workers and the other folks that they have in there scabbing the jobs? It's back to power, right? And fundamentally, Deere is not going to be forced to come to the negotiating table until they're forced to, until they start hemorrhaging money. And I know from the UAW members that I've been talking to that they know that. They recognize that. The first night that I was on the picket line at midnight when the strike was called, I kept on hearing from workers, this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. They know that. It's not looking good. I hope it's resolved as quickly as possible. But it'll go on as long as it needs to go on.
And give your name again and position.
Dylan Parker, 5th Ward Alderman for the City of Rock Island.
Here's my card. Stay in touch with me as far as what's going on here and all that. Thanks. So that was an alderman here in the local area. The rally was kind of short. Oh, going here for lighting. The rally was kind of short. It is cold. But honestly, what I've seen so far in just one day, we were in Ottumwa, Iowa, which is about 2.5 hours, I don't even know, south or east or west, I don't know, 2.5 hours from here in Davenport. And just this rally, it's invigorating. It really is invigorating because I'll tell you, outside of basically in the progressive movement, but more than the progressive movement, just the working class, there's been a hibernation for a long, long time, as you know. And these strikes are kind of contagious in a good way. They're spreading. The workers are dug in. When you're out at a picket line like we were in Ottumwa, there's an energy and a camaraderie and a fight that honestly capitalism and the corporate class long to bottle up. They don't want workers together. They don't want workers fighting. They don't want workers hopeful. They don't want you hopeful. So it's very, very invigorating to see. Also, based on what I just told you about this fight and this invigoration, John Deere is using the courts to try and basically stop it. So that's what happened here in Davenport. That's why they held this rally, because John Deere filed with a judge for an injunction basically to block the picketers here at the Davenport Works. Davenport Works is the John Deere plant here. Basically, the injunction said a whole lot of nonsense, that they're intimidating the workers that are working now from entering. They're intimidating the contractors that are coming in by, holding up signs and picketing. They are blocking entry and a whole lot of nonsense. So a judge granted the injunction, basically saying that limiting the amount of workers that could picket to 4 workers. There was as many as 25 to 30 at a time, limiting it to 4 workers and telling them they could not have chairs to sit. And more importantly, they could not have burn barrels, which is how they stay warm in this very cold weather right now. Hold on, what's the weather here? Let's take a look. It is cold. It is cold. It is about 54, 53, but honestly, with the wind and the chill, it seems a lot colder than that. Anybody else want to talk? Okay. So, what I need from you, I don't know how many people are watching, but we are out here. As far as I know, we're the only independent outlet out here covering the strikes. It's expensive. We are really, really on this trip, and we don't know how long we're going to be on the road. We're planning on going to other locations that have John Deere workers striking, in Iowa, in Illinois. After this trip, we might be going to Buffalo to cover India Walton's race for mayor. We need you. We need to sign up more Status Quo members. This is not cheap. There's multiple flights involved for me and Colin. Rent a car, hotel, food. We actually have to buy lights because we're realizing now we're dark and we don't have a light. So it's very expensive actual reporting on the ground. That's one of the reasons none of the outlets do it, because it's expensive. The other reason is they don't want to and they don't have the will. So we're going to continue staying out here, but please sign up, statusquo.com/fall, statusquo.com/fall. Hey, did you want to talk? Okay. Statusquo.com/fall. That is our fall members campaign. So the drill is go to statusquo.com/fall, and through Thanksgiving, if you sign up as a member now, you're going to get a free piece of Status Quo merchandise. So once you go to statusquo.com/fall, there's different levels you could sign up, $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, and it'll give you the directions for how you sign up and which piece of merchandise you could get. We need you. We need you. Frankly, there's a whole fuck ton of YouTube channels that are just pontificating about bullshit and are... One second. As you know, there's a whole cottage industry of YouTube hosts and channels that are bloviating about bullshit, giving you nonstop hot takes, all caps. This host bashes that host. Dispatch versus this, Joe Rogan versus this, and it's all for money and it's all for clicks, and it's not on anything actually important. They are not out here. They are not in Ottumwa. They are not in Davenport. They will not be in the other locations we go. And, you know, some of them I like. It's not, you know, you're not terrible if you just come from a studio and do commentary. But we need more of this, because I'll tell you what, and I've been saying this for a while, one of the major reasons we live in the United Corporations of America is because you have a corporate media that are the gatekeepers to information. And they have numbed the populace. They have numbed a large amount of our society to what's actually going on. So that's why it's so important for independent media. Just as a total anecdote, my parents, God bless them, they both voted for Trump. Sore subject. Half the time I show them what I'm doing on the ground, their first response is, why don't I see this anywhere else? Good fucking question. You don't see it anywhere else because they don't want you to know. They don't want you to hear from these workers. Sure, you'll get headlines here and there in national outlets. They'll quote a worker here and there. They're not telling you the full story. They're certainly not out here giving the workers a voice the way we're going to. So please, if you can, statuscoup.com/fall. Obviously, YouTube is not making this easy. We have 121,000 subscribers. YouTube doesn't seem to want to show people when we're live, so we're doing our best. Another way you can help us, sign up for our text list, statuscoup.com/text. That way, if you don't get a notification through YouTube, you will get a notification through us when we're live. So statuscoup.com/fall. Go there, sign up as a member. We really need you. Also, we have actually been posting photos and video on the way. We started in Des Moines. We had a long day. We started in Des Moines, drove hour and a half to Ottumwa, went live from Ottumwa. Our battery died in Ottumwa. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Ottumwa. And then we drove 2.5 hours here. So that's like 4 hours of driving. So for pity's sake, sign up, statuscoup.com/fall. Tomorrow, don't know yet, we're going to be going live from a picket line somewhere and continue talking to workers. Because honestly, to me, obviously we're in a pandemic. I'm not minimizing that. To me, this is the biggest story in America. It's certainly not being reported that way. Obviously, the cable outlets, the corporate media is focused on the back and forth, Manchin, Sinema, the Democrats, the reconciliation deal. That's fine. This is more important because this is not just about John Deere. This is about the 40-year neoliberal hijacking of this country. And workers are finally fighting back. So get involved. Don't just hashtag. You got to watch this. You got to share it. Get involved in your community somehow. There's DSA groups in your community. There are local unions in your community. Trust me, the unions want your help, even if you're not part of their union. There are ways you could support the workers that are striking through donations, through food. I believe Bernie Sanders just sent out an email. He's doing a fundraiser for the John Deere and Kellogg workers, because Kellogg's workers are striking in Michigan and elsewhere. So Bernie Sanders just sent out an email to get, if you can, contribute to the strike fund. These people are putting their wages on the line because they're not getting paid. They are putting their health care on the line because John Deere is going to end their health care. So support them. And if you can, support us. As humbly as I could say it, I don't see anyone else doing this like we're doing it. Frankly, the media we have had is Bernie Sanders sent his digital guy out, who I know and is great. Bernie Sanders sent his web guy out to shoot some of this. Okay? That's the media we have. I believe More Perfect Union, who does great work. They've been out here. Other than that, I don't really know. So please support us. We will be live again tomorrow. We will update you on our Twitter when we're going live, all that. So again, that's statuscoup.com/text. Join our text list, very important. And please support us, statuscoup.com/fall. Thank you for watching. We'll see you for